Okay, so in our last recording, when we were setting up our viewports and changing our units, we created just a random box and we gave it a few parameters. Let's do this. Let's go ahead, highlight that box and push delete. We'll get rid of that box and we'll start from scratch. Now, in this lesson, we're going to be using the command panel, the Scene Explorer, several things across the main toolbar, and our viewports. So let's start with the command panel. Click on the plus if you haven't gone there already. So there's a few different tabs across the command panel. The first one is the create. The second is the modify. These are the two that we're going to be in the most. In the create panel, just go down to where it says box, and let's draw out a box. Right click so that we stop making boxes. From there, you'll see it says box. In your Scene Explorer, let's change the name of this box to floor. So just click in here. Once again, if you just click in here, it'll give you a box, or the blue highlighting where you can change it. And so we're just going to type in F-L-O-O-R. So we've got floor. Click, and now we'll go over here to our command panel and go to the modify tab. With our box selected, you can see it now says floor, but the type of object is a box, so it's listed right in here as a box. Okay, let's make our box 20 feet in length, so we're going to type in 20 and enter. We're going to make it 20 feet in width, and we're going to make it negative, so negative 8 with quotation for inches, negative 8 inches. Because whenever we bring something in here, it always brings it at the 0 line. And so if we put our box, our floor, below that 0 line, then everything that we bring in will just sit right on top of the floor without us having to do anything. Okay, so now that we have that, let's center it up. Remember from the last lesson that we could move things here with the gizmo, but we could also move things down here with our parameters. So what we want to, with our coordinates. What we want to do is we want to hover our cursor over the spinners and then just right click to 0, to 0, and this one is already at 0. Okay. So now, the easiest way to build our stage, because we're making a stage so that we can make a scene, we'll make our first scene, is to copy this floor. That way we don't have to keep remaking it. What do I mean? Well, let me show you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to my scale and rotate. I'm going to make a copy of this floor by holding down the Shift key, while at the same time using the X-axis to rotate that up. I want to bring it to about 90 degrees. When I let go of my shift and the left wheel on my mouse that I was using to rotate it with, I'll get this clone options box. In here it says copies, instance reference. For right now, we're just going to go with copy. And we're going to name this back wall. So B-A-C-K-W-A-L-L, back wall, and say OK. Well, now, when I was rotating my back wall, I didn't quite get it to 90 degrees. That's no big deal. Down here in the X, we'll see that I've got mine at negative 84.65 degrees. So I'm not going to worry about the negative for right now. That's not really important. I'm just going to type in 90 for 90 degrees And there it is. And now I've got a right angle. You'll see, working in these viewports, that when I click off of that, it's hard to see this back wall in various views. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the back wall here in the Scene Explorer, and we're going to change the color. In the Modify tab, in the Command panel, you'll see it says Back Wall, and it gives us a color box. I'm just going to click on this, and we'll get a bunch of tiles with different colors. I'm going to change this one to green, but you can change it to any color. Doesn't matter, as long as it's not the same color as your floor. And I'm just going to say OK. All right. Now up here in my top view, I'm going to change to my Select and Move tool. I'm going to pan down a little bit, and I'm going to move that right on the y-axis, up, 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 right there. In either my left or my front views, but I'll do it in my left. I'm going to click in my left. I'm going to right-click in my left. See, because if you right-click, then whatever gizmo you were on, whatever thing you had selected, will transfer. On the other hand, if I were to, let's say, just to click in here, left-click, the normal part of the mouse that you'd normally click, you'll see, oh, it deselected what I was doing. And I'm going to scroll my zoom so that I'm zoomed out a little bit, and I'm going to move this up a little bit here. So now I've got my back wall essentially sitting on the floor. All right, so now what we want to do, back here in my perspective view again, once again I've right-clicked. I'm going to zoom out using the roll, that center wheel, and I'm going to change this to the Select and Rotate. This time, what I'm going to do so that it instantly goes to the 90 degrees that I'd like, I'm going to go here. These are my angle snaps, and these are a really good thing to know. The one right here in the middle is the angle snap. Click on that. You see it turns blue. I'm going to hold down my Shift key, and I'm going to rotate that around. And what it's doing this time is it's moving it in 5-degree increments. So if you look down at the Z, you'll see that rotating in 5-degree increments. And it's really easy to get it on 90 degrees, or negative 90 degrees, as the case may be, the first time. I let go of both the Shift and my mouse button at the same time. And once again, I get this copy or this clone options. Copy is fine. This time, I'm going to call this right wall. And say OK. I'm kind of a stickler on labeling things because in this Scene Explorer, you could have hundreds of items. And if you don't have them named with appropriate names, it can become very confusing very fast. So back to here. So I don't want this to be green. I'm going to go over here to my Command panel and change the color of the right wall. I'll make it purple. Why not? Alrighty, so now back into my top view. If I right-click in here, it doesn't change what's selected. I'm going to zoom out using my wheel. I'm going to use my Select and Move tool. And I'm just going to move that on over and line that up. From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy and make the left wall. But I don't even have to move out of this viewport. Once again, I'm going to hold down my Shift key, move this over, and I now have my left wall. Let go. I get my dialog box. I say sure. And here, I'm going to change the name to left wall. and say, OK. Now that we've made our set, let's put ourselves into the scene. I'm going to go in my perspective window, go Alt-W, so that it's fully sized. And I'm going to rotate the object around so that it fits all the way into my viewport. In other words, so that there's no black area around it. Just think for a minute. This is the stage, and we want to go inside this stage. We don't want anything around here because we don't want to break the illusion. So let's set it once again in here, something like that. So we don't have any edges to any of the walls. None of that black area is showing. Okay, now we can start putting some things into our stage.